If you ever plowed a mule all day for a quarter, you would not buy that. That's what my grandfather always said to me. That was some of his financial advice. I grew up with him talking business to me and teaching me how to be a business person, teaching me how to be a builder, and teaching me how to be a real estate agent. And my family business was started about 1951 by S.B. Owen, who was my grandfather. I was his only grandchild because I'm an only child, and my mother is an only child. And he was born in 1927 into abject poverty in the Piercetown community, 13 miles outside of Anderson, South Carolina. And he married my grandmother, Sarah Irby, who lived just down the street, and went to school with him, and he married her secretly. He was being shipped off to World War II. He thankfully stayed here in the United States. He was shipped to Tacoma, Washington, but he married her secretly. She was 16, he was 18, and they hid the marriage license behind a painting in my great-grandmother's house. Isn't that a romantic love story? Then he came back from Tacoma, Washington, and got out of the Army, and he didn't know what he wanted to do, and so he was a grocer for a little while, and then he thought, well, I'll be a farmer. And as my grandmother said, the Lord sent a hailstorm and knocked all of the plants down. Then he worked for the Transcontinental Pipeline for a little while, and he was in a hotel room by himself one night and was reading the Bible, and the verses that talk about how God provides for the birds and clothes the lilies of the field let him know that God would take care of him. And so he went to cabinet making school on the GI Bill and then started building houses. The first house he built was for my grandmother and he, and they never lived in it. He sold it immediately. And then he did another one, built another one, and he sold that one. And then a friend asked him to build his house, and he sold that one to him. And then he did one for his brother and the next brother, and then he started Owen Builders. And after that, he built commercial buildings, he built houses all over Greenville and Anderson County, and he was the preeminent builder, one of the preeminent builders during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s in Anderson. Then my mother took over his retirement plan, which was when he decided to quit building, he also had Anderson Builders Supply. And if you are from Anderson and you're familiar with this area, you probably remember the old location of GBS Lumber. And that was where Anderson Builders Supply was. And he decided he wanted to retire from that. And he decided he didn't want to build houses anymore. So he and his assistants with a hammer actually built North Gate Apartments, which has been our family's business for quite a while. We have 52 units. He even had an apartment complex in Clemson at one time. And my mother quit school and started managing those apartments. You probably hear my little friend underneath me. My cat loves me so much, he follows me all around my yard. But my mother quit teaching school and started managing Northgate in our home. So I was showing apartments at the age of 5. And then my grandfather told me when I was in the 8th grade, I said, I'm going to be a graphic designer. And he said, no, you're going to be a medical doctor. So I thought I was going to be a medical doctor all through high school. And then I realized that I vomited at the sight of blood. So I had already started doing graphic design for companies when I was in high school. And so I went to college, went to AU, did not plan to go to Anderson University. I wanted to live in London. I wanted to go to a big university, but my mother said, I want you to go one semester. And I went and fell in love with it. I even had the opportunity to teach there, to teach photography there. And went to AU, majored in graphic design, and then decided to get a double major in interior design, which helps me so much in real estate. And I had Locke Design for 23 years, even was fortunate enough to have a building on Clemson Boulevard in Anderson. And then I started having heart trouble from the stress. And so my mom came to me and she said, I really want you to take over the family business and make the same amount. And I said, yeah, I think I'm ready. So I took that over and decided that after being in graphic design for all those years, I was a little bit bored. So I decided to do real estate full time. By the time I decided to do real estate full-time, my grandparents had both passed away, but my family has been in the real estate industry and the building industry since the very early 1950s. So I say we've been in business since 1951, and so we're over a 70-year-old company. We've been buying and selling and building Anderson and Greenville since that time. Again, I'm your realtor, David Locke, and I'm so glad I got to share my family story with you. And I'll even show you my little friend here. This is Mr. Snuggles. Say, hey, Mr. Snuggles.